All right, peace, peace, peace. Well, first and foremost, man, hopefully most on your house is blessing your day. By His mercies you want to consume, we're live in most on your house body to naturally live. Too, I want to get to this, man, because honestly, I was thinking about this, man, because, like, how, like, because, sometimes, man, for the children, like, I, like, work with, I've been working with you for, like, 10 years, right, and it's kind of like, in the aspect, because I was thinking about this earlier in the week, or sometimes, like, I was thinking about this account earlier this week, I should say. First, man, because today's crazy. Today's the 14th, and this happens. We're gonna go into First Maccabees 14, man. And sometimes, it's just weird, right? Because I was just thinking about this, right? Because, I told you I work with you for like 10 years, right? But sometimes with children, man, like not. I hate to do this, man, but sometimes with children, like say we on field trips or something like that, or even something like that. I'll give them like things of that nature, man. Like I'll buy them something, especially if they ask me, even they have, or even if it's a child without. I remember when I was in school, and we took a walking trip to Rita's, and a sister she got out the car, and gave me some money to get some food, some to get some more ice. But I told her no, I'm okay, but thank you though. Because she thought it was without, man. But it too. It kind of reminds me a lot, like of what how Shah did. Honestly, in Maccabees, what we about to read, like what Simon did. Like sometimes even for your people, man. Like, and that's how you can know somebody actually really cares about, and honestly too cares about, his own people, man. But certain times, even with that, man, look how it turned out. Because you could do that, because that kind of goes into how the eyes of men are never satisfied, or what Sirach says, many that was a surety for somebody and they left them for dead, man. That's what we did with Yahushua, man. Because we're gonna look at this in the spiritual aspect. Honestly, let's stop being around the bush. Let me stop being around the bush and get to it. But first Maccabees chapter 14 verse 32. 14 verse 32, and it says, let's get first Maccabees 14 verse 32. It says, and because this is verse 31. First Maccabees chapter 14 verse 31. It says, their enemies prepared to invade their country, that they might destroy and lay hands on the sanctuary. Verse 32. At which time Simon rose up and fought for his nation, and spent his own substance, and armed the valiant men of his nations and gave them wages. So see that? So notice how, right? Let's look at this in the because we just kind of talked about this on the natural aspect, man. Because also too on the natural aspect, let's think about this too as well, because it's going to kind of tie into that, man. Because I remember years ago, shout out to Brother Chronicles of Judah, he did a video of it's crazy because Marshawn Lynch was at the fight, last night at that fight I was watching. Well, I didn't see it, I went to bed before the Canelo and the Crawford fight, but the fight before that, the Canadian boxer versus that Martinez, that was a good one. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But pretty much, Chronicles Judah brother did a video about how years ago, I remember the storyline too, how Marshawn Lynch had a free summer camp, man, for the young brothers, man. And but he was correcting, he was kind of doing the typical coaches he came up with, honestly. He was correcting one of the young players, man, and young brothers there. And but her parent, his mom had got mad at Marshawn Lynch and proceeded to argue with him. It's and the Brother Chronicles of Judah said, listen, man, sometimes when you do something off the strength of somebody or for free, honestly, you gotta watch that, man, because it's that was here it is, this man is doing something off his own dime, or having a free football camp, or whatever football session, and because he's kind of teaching them, correcting them, not giving them an excuse to talk to anybody any certain kind of way. But listen, this is sharply rebuked. More than likely, he sharply rebuked them. I think he cussed them, whatever. But listen, y'all play sports, y'all know that happens, honestly. Sometimes, as long as the coach doesn't say something too crazy, but a lot of times too, in a certain way, they're preparing the young men for life in that aspect, and not excusing you saying anything to anybody, sir, but it's really to toughen them up in a way, honestly. But kind of like military boot camp and all that stuff. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, But think about that on the natural tip, right? Think about that in the spiritual aspect, right? Too, how Shah gave all his substance from riches in heaven, that and he walked contrary to himself. But look what we did in return, honestly. So we're gonna look at it kind of in that aspect as well. But let's read this, look at this again. It says, at the time which Simon rose up and fought for his nation and spent his own substance and armed the valiant man of his nation and gave them wages. So see that? It's just like Yahushua armed us with with the breastplate of righteousness, the whole armor, but that's mentioned in Wisdom of Solomon 5 and Ephesians 6. The armor of breastplate. Let's just get that real quick, man. Let's grab that. Let's look at that Ephesians 6 real quick. Ephesians 6. Ephesians 5, I'm sorry. No, Ephesians 6, I'm not there yet. It says, put on the whole armor of Yahweh, and ye may be able to stand the wiles of the devil. So see, let's grab a, exactly, man. Yeah, so, verse, let's read on down. And take the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yahweh. Exactly. Praying always with prayer, supplication, and spirit, watching thereunto with all preservance and supplication for all the saints. Exactly, man. So just like Simon armed his men with that, that's why we see David. He that's the shield, that's the armor he was armed with. At the end of the day, that armor of faith and the spirit, honestly. So. Yeah, that's what Yahushua did for us. But let's read this again. At the time which Simon rose up and fought for his nation and spent his own substance and armed with valiant men of his nation and gave them wages. So see, that's what Yahushua did with us, man. Because then he, Matthew 6 and 20, then he spent his own substance, which is the riches from heaven, the church, to give to us. And honestly, and look how we repaid him. So. In the war, this time, it kind of lines up with the law and testimony a little bit. This time, he's saying with the war against sin and death, honestly, which he fought and defeated. So, let's get Matthew chapter 6, 6 verse 20. Exactly, it says, but lay yourselves up with treasures of heaven, where neither moth nor rust or corrupt, where thieves do not break nor steal. Exactly, man. So exactly, so that's what Yahushua did, man. That was his Yahushua stuff to give him from the Father and he gave it to us, man. But but let's get into Sirach, Ecclesiastes 29, man, because this happens, man. I know somebody personally that this happened to. This is on natural tip, that people that they helped, or they left them for dead, pretty much, man. But and that's what we did with Yahushua, man, because he said he came to save us from sin, death, and his own substance. And look how that's why the word says this. Ecclesiastes chapter 29 verse also Sirach chapter 29 verse 16. A sinner will overthrow the good estate of his surety, and verse 17, and he that is of an unthankful mind will leave him in danger that deliver them. So see, this is in Matthew 1 and 21 saying he shall save us, he shall deliver us. And Luke 1 and 77 says that. It says and he that is of an unthankful mind will leave him leave him in danger that deliver him. Exactly. Well, verse 18. Sureship hath undone many of a good estate, and shaken them as a wave of the sea. Mighty men have been driven from their houses, and so that they wander among strange nations. So exactly, man. So I know somebody like that. I should have said that. I know somebody like that personally, man. They and I actually remember that years ago. Dang, he had just moved out too. He just left. My friends pretty much for they had to pay the rent themselves. It's he just left. I remember that they was living with an Edomite. One time. Two my friends. They were together at the time, and he just left left one day. That's examples like that. Or I know sister personally. She she's in an unfortunate situation because that certain certain people that she that she looked out for, like they was close to end up doing her dirty, man. And that's what that happens every day, man. It's sad, man. But people don't know that's a judgment for that too. But pretty much going back to the point, man. Like Yahweh Shah gave us his own substance, to use his own riches from heaven, which was given from the Father. And look at how we treat him. We pretty much put Yahweh Shah in danger. Like the ones that was a surety for us. That was actually that helped them. That was here to help, honestly, save us from sin and death. But even though Yahweh Shah had to fulfill the book, but it says a sinner will overthrow his good estate of his surety, and he that's an unthankful mind will leave him in danger that delivered him. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is what it is too. And that's why even too, let's go to Simon, man, in the aspect of Simon, how that is supposed to be had lines up even with Yahweh Shah as well, man, because so let's grab it. Where's it at? I gotta grab it from the other one. Hold on, y'all. Oh, let's see. Flies. Yeah, First Maccabees 14 verse 43. Let's go verse 43. Just real quick. We're gonna come back. Let's take a little detour. Yeah. Yep. It says in okay, is this 14? Okay, yeah. First Maccabees chapter 14 verse 40 is this what I want? Yeah, 14 verse 43. Besides this, he should be obeyed. Every man is talking about Simon, Maccabees. Every man that the writings in this country should be in his name. Yep, just coming in his name, and that he should be clothed in purple. And where it goes. So see, it does not sound familiar. Clothed in purple. And Simon's the ruler, in the king kind of position in Israel during this time, right? So let's does that clothed in purple sound similar? Who's that sound like? Let's go to real quick. Let's go to hold on, y'all. So that's important. The reading it through the Most High House's perspective, man. Cause yeah, let's go to Matthew 27 and 28 real quick, man. Go Matthew 27:28 real quick, man. Yep. Verse Matthew 27:28, and they stripped him and put him on a scarlet robe. So see that there's no witness testimony of Yahweh Shah there with Simon Maccabees in there, man. So because Yahweh Shah's the king, the purple is royalty, man. So that's just it is what it is with that, man. So yeah, but also too, it says many we left. Let's go back to the point that that we left him in danger that delivered us. And how he gave us his own substance. Yeah. Verse Matthew chapter 1 verse 21, it says, and she shall bring forth the son, and thou shalt call him Yahweh Shah, for he shall save his people from their sins. Exactly. Yep. But look how like Sirach said, many have put him in danger that delivered him. And that goes into what like Proverbs 17:15 or Isaiah, what that called good evil, good and good, evil, man. And pretty much pretty much saving, condemning the innocent and letting the guilty go. That's all that is, all fulfilling those in Proverbs and Deuteronomy 25. It's all there. We could go into that, but it's a lot of that would be a lot. Verse Luke chapter 1 verse 77, it says to give salvation unto his people by the remission of their sins. Exactly. So that is what it is, man. So yeah, it's, even on natural stuff, there's people that do that, man. Left them for dead, people that helped them, man. Going back to what we talked about, earlier, actually, that lines up perfect. All praise the Most High House, bind the hand that feeds you, man. Some people want the whole hand, and they just those spiritual or energy vampires, Like, you know, that, like we talked about, man, they suck the life out of one person and just go to the next, and next. Honestly, man. So, yeah, man. Hopefully, it's edifying, man. And that's is what it is, man. So, yeah. So, peace.